This morning you may have crossed town inside a machine, barely moving your legs, while an ancient human would have paid for that same distance with blood, sweat, hunger, and a very real chance of never coming back. Think about how strange that is. You press a button, follow a road, trust a map, and complain when traffic steals 12 minutes. But for nearly the whole story of our species, travel was not convenience. Travel was exposure. No headlights, no bridge, no police, no gas station, no sign saying, safe route this way. Just bodies, weather, predators, rivers, strangers, mountains, and the horizon asking one question. How badly do you need to move? Every mile demanded choices. Turn back, share water, trust an elder, follow tracks. Read clouds, protect children, keep walking when feet burned. Travel was not a line on a map. It was a living negotiation with pain, hope, memory, and fear, repeated until the unknown slowly became familiar ground beneath human feet. That question followed every campfire, every shoreline, every frightened dawn again tonight. Today, distance feels small. Food crosses oceans. Messages cross continents. A plane can lift you above clouds and drop you on another side of Earth before your ancestors would have finished one exhausting day. Across vast stretches of prehistory, human movement always quietly happened at the speed of footsteps. That single fact quietly shaped families, trade, conflict, language, love, food, maps, myths, and the size of every world people imagined. Distance was once a monster with no face. So begin with the oldest vehicle you own, your feet. Humans are not the fastest animal, not even close. A cat can explode across the ground. A horse can outrun you almost immediately. A deer can vanish before you understand what happened. But speed was never our superpower. Our gift was continuation. A person can walk for hours, rest, wake, and walk again. Then do it tomorrow. Then again next week. We are built for stubborn distance. Arches in the foot behave like springs. Tendons recycle energy. Neck anatomy helps stabilize the head while the body keeps moving. Sweat cools the skin while many big mammals have to stop before heat defeats them. We were not made to win the sprint. We were made to keep appearing over the next hill. That matters because ancient travel was not one heroic leap into the unknown. It was repetition. One valley, one riverbank, one ridge, one camp, one remembered path. Fossil footprints older than cities, farming, metal, and writing show that upright walking was already ancient long before our own kind spread across the planet. Imagine two figures crossing soft ash millions of years ago, not knowing they were leaving evidence for us. Their feet were not cars. They were promises. If a group could walk far enough, it could find food, avoid danger, meet mates, and survive a bad season. Around the later waves out of Africa, humans did not simply pour across the world like water. They moved in fragments. Families expanded. Children grew up and pushed camp slightly farther. Hunters followed animals, gatherers remembered plants, elders carried roots in memory. Groups crossed deserts, forests, coastlines, cold grasslands, and eventually the edges of continents. Nobody woke up one morning with a plan to settle the Americas. Nobody had a globe. Yet, step after step, generation after generation, people reached Asia, Europe, Siberia, Australia by sea, and the Americas by northern routes. What looks like one huge migration from far away was actually millions of small decisions made by people trying to live another season. And they were not just wandering randomly. This is where the story gets smarter. Archaeologists find materials far from their original sources, volcanic glass carried across long distances, shells appearing inland, ornaments and stones traveling through exchange networks. That means people knew things. They heard rumors. They visited neighbors. They traded. They returned with objects and stories. Movement was information. A tool from far away was proof that the world was bigger than your campfire. Before highways, there were relationships. Before shipping routes, there were memory routes. Before maps, there were people saying, I know where that stone comes from. But walking has one terrifying weakness. It stops at water. A river can erase confidence instantly. A lake can split two worlds. A channel of sea can turn visible land into a dream you cannot touch. For a land animal, water is not scenery. It is a border. You can follow the shore, you can look for a shallow place, you can wait for the season to change. But sooner or later, human curiosity met the blue wall and refused to obey it. The first watercraft were probably not beautiful inventions. More likely, they began as accidents and experiments. A log floats. Reeds hold together. Bark can carry weight. Someone notices. Someone tries. Someone nearly fails. Someone learns. The earliest materials rotted away, so the first real evidence is indirect. Tools and people on islands that could not be reached by walking. That is the clue. If stone tools appear on land separated by open water, then somebody crossed. Maybe not with a perfect boat, maybe with something crude, wet, unstable, and terrifying. But they crossed. Then the crossings became bolder. Humans reached Australia tens of thousands of years ago, and that required open water. Not a puddle, not a simple river, a serious journey beyond ordinary sight. Imagine pushing away from shore when the destination is invisible. Behind you is land, smoke, voices, safety. Ahead is moving water and sky. Why go? Maybe hunger, maybe population pressure, maybe curiosity, maybe stories of birds, currents, and distant clouds. Whatever the reason, someone trusted a floating object and human courage more than solid ground. Every boat began as an argument with fear. Much later, ocean navigation became almost unbelievable. Pacific voyagers crossed enormous distances in double-hulled canoes, carrying people, food, animals, memory, and confidence. They read stars as direction, ocean swells as language, birds as hints, cloud color as suggestion, and wind as a message. No glowing screen, no satellite voice, no blue dot saying you are here. Just disciplined attention passed from teacher to student. They found islands scattered across the greatest ocean on Earth because they understood patterns most modern people would not even notice. To them, the sea was not empty. It was written in motion. So walking widened land. Boats opened water. But travel still had another enemy. Weight. You can walk a long distance alone. You cannot easily carry shelter, tools, children, food, water, and a large animal on your back forever. The human body has limits. Carry too much, and the journey breaks you. That is when people began solving distance in a new way. Not just how far can we go, but how much can we bring. Dragging was one answer. Put a load on a hide or branches and pull. It is ugly, simple, and useful. Then came smarter frames, like pole and platform systems that spread weight and made pulling easier. These designs did not need metal or engines. They needed observation. A narrow front, a wider rear, a surface for the load, and human effort redirected into leverage. Suddenly, one person could move far more than arms alone could hold. The problem is that wood, leather, and fiber disappear easily in the ground, so many ancient transport inventions leave only faint traces. The past used tools that time likes to eat. Then, humans made a stranger discovery. The best transport tool might breathe. Dogs became our first animal partners, and in cold places they changed survival. A dog team could pull supplies across snow and ice, carrying camp, food, and equipment over landscapes where wheels would be useless. That was not just transport. That was partnership. Humans gave food and direction. Animals gave speed, strength, scent, and endurance. The journey became shared. But dogs could only do so much. Bigger animals changed the scale. Horses transformed space. Once people learned to ride and manage them, distance collapsed. A trip that once took days could shrink. Messages could move faster than a walking messenger. Traders could reach farther. Raiders could appear with frightening speed. Pastoral societies built life around animals that carried bodies, goods, milk, status, and power. Donkeys helped in hard, dry lands. Camels turned deserts into routes instead of walls. Reindeer pulled through northern snow. Llamas carried loads in high mountains. Wherever people lived, they looked at the animals around them and asked a very human question: can this creature help us move the world? And yet one famous invention arrived surprisingly late. The wheel feels obvious now because it surrounds us. Tires, carts, trains, machines, suitcase wheels, toy wheels, factory wheels. But humans crossed seas and partnered with animals long before wheels became transport. Why? Because a wheel is only useful when many other problems are already solved. You need materials strong enough. You need axles. You need reasonably workable ground. A wheel in thick forest, swamp, boulders, snow, or steep mountains is not magic. It is frustration. Early wheels were heavy, solid, and awkward. They could carry loads, but not everywhere. Roads made them better, animals made them stronger, spokes made them lighter. And when wheels, roads, and draft power finally worked together, civilization changed shape. Goods could travel in bulk. Armies could move supplies. Cities could feed themselves from wider regions. Trade routes thickened. Empires became physically possible because rulers could move people, grain, orders, weapons, and taxes across space. A road is more than flat ground. A road is a promise that movement will happen again tomorrow. This is the real pattern. Humans did not invent travel once. We kept attacking different versions of distance. Feet solved the first problem, move the body. Boats solved the water problem. Dragging and frames solved the load problem. Animals solved speed and strength. Wheels and roads solved repeated movement at scale. Each answer created the next question. Each breakthrough made the world smaller, but also more connected, more dangerous, more ambitious. Progress is distance losing an argument. Now think about your own life. You sit in a car and call it boring. You ride a train while staring at a phone. You fly over mountains that once divided entire worlds, and your complaint is legroom. You order food and forget that, for most humans, food had to be carried by someone, somewhere, step by step. Comfort has made movement invisible, but under every highway is an old footpath. Under every airport is the memory of people staring at birds and wondering. Under every shipping lane is a first frightened boat pushing away from shore. Your ancestors did not move because travel was romantic. They moved because staying still could mean hunger, conflict, drought, cold, or death. They moved because resources shifted. They moved because children needed futures. They moved because another valley might hold water, because another shoreline might hold shellfish, because another group might become allies or family. Movement was risk, but stillness was risk too. So they chose the risk with a horizon attached. And maybe that is why this story still matters. We are comfortable, but we are still the children of travelers. Our minds still look outward. We still wonder what is beyond the next border, the next idea, the next life. The tools changed from feet to boats to horses to wheels to engines to aircraft, but the impulse stayed. If this made you see every road differently, like this video and help winds of thought reach more curious minds, then tell me in the comments, if you had to travel one ancient route on foot, where would you go? Because the most human moment was not the invention of the car, the plane, or the map. It was older than all of them. Someone stood at the edge of what they knew, looked into dangerous distance, and moved anyway. Humanity began with a step into uncertainty.